You're doing something at this very moment, something you have repeated thousands of times today. It is so automatic and so unnoticed that you have never stopped to question it. Yet it is harming your brain, cell by cell, memory by memory, breath by breath. This is not about diet. It is not about rest. It goes deeper than both, more instinctive, and it is happening right now as you hear these words. Ancient writings referred to it as silent suffocation. Modern neuroscience uses a different term, cellular asphyxiation. The result, however, is the same. Your hippocampus, the brain's memory center, is slowly shrinking. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for awareness and decision-making, is being deprived. The most concerning part is that you cannot sense it while it happens. Here is what is rarely mentioned. Nearly 99% of people over the age of 35 are speeding up cognitive decline because of one hidden habit, a habit so common in modern life that it goes unnoticed, a habit that can reduce mental clarity by 10 years for every 5 years of aging. That habit is this: breathing through the mouth. Not constantly, and not always in an obvious way, but often enough, especially during sleep, during intense concentration, and during stress. Each time it happens, the neurons that keep you focused, alert, and mentally present are being deprived. This is why this matters more than almost anything else you may learn about brain health today. Your nose is not simply a passage for air. It functions as a biochemical processor. Every breath taken through the nostrils activates the release of nitric oxide, a compound so significant that its discovery in human physiology earned a Nobel Prize. Nitric oxide performs 3 critical functions that your brain cannot function properly without. It widens your blood vessels, allowing more oxygen to reach neural tissue. It aligns electrical patterns between the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, the exact rhythms required for forming and storing memories. It also works as a natural antimicrobial barrier, stopping harmful pathogens from entering the bloodstream and causing neuroinflammation. When you breathe through your mouth, you bypass all of these processes with every breath you take. Functional MRI studies have shown that people who chronically breathe through the mouth exhibit noticeably reduced bold activity in the hippocampus. This signal indicates that neurons are active, communicating, and sustaining themselves. Without it, those cells do not simply become inactive, they begin to die. And this is the critical point to understand. The damage builds over time. Researchers at the Lundberg Institute found that nasal breathing increases oxygen absorption by 18% compared to mouth breathing. 18%. That is nearly 1/5 more fuel for the most energy-demanding organ in your body. Your brain consumes about 20% of your total oxygen supply, even though it makes up only 2% of your body weight. When it is deprived of even a small portion of that oxygen over many years, the result is not just reduced sharpness. You begin to lose core mental function, and the decline goes further. Mouth breathing shifts your nervous system into a constant state of sympathetic activation, commonly known as fight or flight. Your body interprets the absence of nasal resistance and a loss of rhythmic airflow as a threat signal. Cortisol levels increase. Inflammatory cytokines spread through your bloodstream and into the brain. These cytokines speed up the buildup of amyloid beta plaques, the same plaques found in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. This is not symbolic language. It is measurable, avoidable, and occurring right now if you have not learned to control this one biological mechanism. So why does this happen? Why do nearly 99% of people fall into this pattern? Because modern life has conditioned you to work against your own biology. Stress keeps the jaw clenched and the mouth slightly open. Forward head posture from constant screen use narrows the airway. Ongoing inflammation from processed foods causes the nasal passages to swell. And when you finally lie down to sleep, exhausted, the tongue falls backward. The mouth opens. For 8 hours, the brain is quietly deprived of oxygen. You wake up feeling foggy. You blame age. You blame genetics. But that is not the cause. It is silent suffocation, and it is slowly taking away your future. Consider this. The brain functions through electrical oscillations, theta waves, alpha waves, delta waves. These are not abstract ideas. They are measurable frequencies that determine whether neurons communicate effectively or begin to break down. Nasal breathing creates a steady, rhythmic pressure change inside the skull that actively synchronizes these brain waves into organized, stable patterns. This is why meditation traditions across nearly every culture have emphasized nasal breathing. They recognize something that modern medicine is only now starting to measure. When you breathe through your mouth, that rhythm is lost. The oscillations become disorganized. The hippocampus can no longer synchronize with the prefrontal cortex. As a result, the brain struggles to form new memories and cannot properly consolidate learning. You become confined to the present moment, unable to connect your past experiences or clearly project into the future. Ancient mystery schools understood this principle. They described the breath as the link between body and spirit. They taught that the quality of breathing directly shaped the quality of consciousness. They were not incorrect. They simply lacked functional MRI technology to demonstrate it. Today we do, and the evidence is clear. Here is what occurs when nasal breathing is restored. The hippocampus begins firing in steady theta waves, the precise frequency needed to move short-term memories into long-term storage. The prefrontal cortex receives sufficient oxygen to sustain executive function, impulse control, and emotional balance. Vagal tone improves, shifting the nervous system from sympathetic dominance into a parasympathetic, restorative state. At the same time, the brain produces higher levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a key molecule that supports neuroplasticity and the growth of new neurons. You do not simply slow accelerated aging. You begin to repair existing damage. This is known as the cerebral oxygen protocol, and it consists of 3 steps. Step 1. Taping. Each night before sleep, place a small strip of medical tape vertically over the lips, not to seal them, but to cue the unconscious brain to keep the mouth closed. This single practice increases nasal breathing during sleep by up to 90%. Within 2 weeks, many people report deeper sleep, clearer mornings, and the return of dreams they had forgotten. Dreams are a sign that the hippocampus is consolidating memory again. They indicate that the brain is cleaning itself, organizing information, and preparing for the day ahead. Mouth breathers often lose this process and wake up with the same mental fog they had before sleeping. Step 2. The tongue. Your tongue acts as an anchor. Throughout the day, train it to rest on the roof of your mouth, just behind the front teeth. This position naturally keeps the mouth closed and helps open the airway. Ancient yoga practices referred to this as Khechari Mudra. Modern dentistry calls it correct oral posture. Both perspectives agree that it makes a significant difference. It strengthens the jaw, improves facial structure, and encourages nasal breathing to become the default pattern. The tongue weighs roughly 70 grams, but when placed correctly, it becomes the switch that redirects each breath away from decline and toward stability and health. Step 3. Rhythm. Set a timer. Every 90 minutes, pause whatever you are doing and take 10 slow nasal breaths. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and exhale for 6 counts. This pattern aligns brain waves, resets the nervous system, and delivers a release of nitric oxide at the moment your brain needs it most, during concentration, under stress, and when the mouth tends to take over. This is not meditation. It is basic maintenance. You are flushing your neural circuits with the one molecule required to keep them functioning. Commit to this for 30 days, not as a challenge, but as a recalibration. Because here is what is rarely mentioned in anti-aging clinics that charge thousands for peptide injections. And here is what the pharmaceutical industry does not emphasize. The most effective neuroplasticity support available is free, is located in your nose, and you have had access to it your entire life. You simply stopped using it correctly. Picture yourself 6 months from now. Your memory recall is clearer. Names come more easily. You enter a room and remember why you are there. Your mind feels similar to how it did 10 years ago, possibly better. Not because you took a supplement, not because you experimented with microdosing, but because you relearned how to breathe. This is not about performance enhancement. This is about preservation. The brain you have at 80 is being shaped by the way you breathe at 40. If those breaths are shallow, oral, and unconscious, then each day you are choosing decline over function, fog over clarity, and silent suffocation over awareness. Your neuroplasticity, your capacity to learn, adapt, and form new neural pathways, depends entirely on sufficient oxygen delivery. Without it, the brain becomes rigid and inflexible, not because of age, but because of deprivation. But you are still here, which means change is possible. This process is not about collecting information. It is about applied change. And the first point of entry is always the breath. Close your mouth. Breathe through your nose. Do it now. Notice the resistance. That resistance signals your brain re-engaging. Welcome back.